Imagine this. You're at the edge of a breakthrough, but you don't even know it yet. Then you see 11, 11, and everything begins to align. That's not luck, that's Jesus working behind the scenes. And today he is about to reveal something that could change your life forever. Have you ever ignored something important because it came in a form you did not expect? Have you ever missed a moment, not because it was small, but because you were distracted? What if I told you that heaven is speaking to you through this message, and the meaning is deeper than the words themselves? God is saying, someone significant has tried to find you 7 times, but you keep skipping what I am sending. And no, this is not just about a person. This is about the level of opportunity, responsibility, and transformation that has been circling your life. This is about the kind of moment people dream of, pray for, cry for, and wait years to see. Yet when it gets close to you, you hesitate, you doubt, you delay, and you act as if it can wait forever. But can it? Can destiny keep knocking if you never answer? Can purpose keep calling if fear always picks up first? God says the reason this message feels unusual is because it is supposed to wake you up. Sometimes God uses a surprising image, a powerful name, or an unexpected symbol to break through your routine thinking. Why? Because ordinary warnings no longer move you. Gentle nudges no longer shake you. Quiet conviction gets buried under noise, entertainment, excuses, and delay. So this message comes in a form you cannot easily ignore. It is meant to make you stop. It is meant to make you ask, what does this really mean? And the meaning is this: something weighty, something rare, something future-changing has been trying to connect with your life, but your patterns have made you unreachable. Tell me honestly, how many times have you prayed for a breakthrough, but then hid from the process that would bring it? How many times have you asked God for change, but resisted the discomfort that comes with becoming someone new? The name in this message represents more than celebrity, more than success, more than wealth, more than influence. It represents scale. It represents vision. It represents the future. It represents unusual opportunity. It represents ideas too big for a fearful mind. It represents the kind of connection that can shift a life in one moment. And God is saying, you have not just been skipping people. You have been skipping levels. You have been skipping signals. You have been skipping moments I allowed near your life because you were not spiritually attentive enough to recognize their value. Have you ever considered that some of your missed opportunities did not look spiritual, so you mislabeled them? Have you ever thought that heaven-sent moments can arrive wearing ordinary clothes? Have you ever realized that what looked like just another idea, just another contact, just another thought, just another chance, was actually loaded with purpose? 7 times, why 7? Why not 1, 3, or 5? Because 7 carries weight. 7 speaks of completion. 7 speaks of a cycle. 7 speaks of a full warning, a repeated mercy, a pattern that can no longer be called accidental. God is saying this was not random. This was not a single chance. This was not coincidence. This was me allowing the signal to come near you again and again and again. But what did you do? You ignored one attempt because you were tired. You skipped another because you were insecure. You missed another because you were too busy trying to control everything. You overlooked another because it did not arrive how you expected. You doubted another because it looked too big for your current identity. You delayed another because fear whispered, later. And then when the next one came, you were so trained in hesitation that you did the same thing again. Does this sound familiar? How many blessings have you postponed because they first appeared in the shape of responsibility? Maybe the first time it came, it was just a thought, a strange, strong idea that would not leave you alone. Something in you said, move, build, start, answer, respond, change, prepare. But instead of obeying, you argued with the call. You said you were not ready. You said you needed more signs. You said maybe it was your imagination. But what if your imagination was never the source? What if God was planting a signal in your spirit? What if the thing you kept brushing aside was actually the first knock on the door? Why is it that you trust fear so quickly, but question faith so easily? Why do you believe worst-case scenarios faster than you believe divine possibilities? Maybe the second time it came through disruption. Something did not go your way, a plan broke. a relationship shifted, an environment stopped fitting, a routine you depended on began to collapse, and instead of asking, "Lord, what are you redirecting me toward?" you only asked, "Why is this happening to me?" But what if the disruption was not there to punish you? What if it was there to make you reachable? What if your old life had become too noisy, too crowded, too comfortable for the next level to find you there? Sometimes God lets what is temporary shake so what is eternal can speak. Sometimes He allows the old pattern to crack because your future cannot fit inside your present mindset. Have you mistaken divine rearrangement for destruction? Maybe the third time it came through watching someone else rise. You saw another person build something bold. You saw someone take a risk. You saw a vision become real. You saw movement, expansion, courage, and influence. And something inside you reacted. Maybe you called it jealousy. Maybe you called it frustration. But what if it was recognition? What if their movement was stirring your buried assignment? What if the reason certain people trigger something deep in you is because they are reflecting back a piece of what you are meant to become? Why are you so disturbed by certain greatness? Could it be because it reminds you of the part of yourself you keep postponing? Maybe the fourth time it came through a failure you never got over, a door closed, a step went wrong, a risk did not work, a plan collapsed in your hands, and after that you told yourself you would never put your heart out there again. You decided safety was wisdom. You decided caution was maturity. You decided silence was protection. But God says, you let one painful outcome become a permanent filter. How long will you keep obeying an old disappointment? How long will one bad ending keep speaking louder than my promises? Do you not know that some failures are classrooms? Do you not know that some losses are divine edits? Do you not know that I can use what broke your confidence to build your discernment? Maybe the fifth time it came through restlessness, nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just that heavy inner feeling that something was missing, the kind of feeling that follows you even when life looks normal, the kind of feeling that whispers, there has to be more than this. You tried to distract yourself, but the feeling stayed. You got busy, but it stayed. You entertained yourself, but it stayed. You changed environments, but it stayed. Why? Because some emptiness is not caused by lack of activity. It is caused by distance from assignment. Some frustration is not because life is terrible. It is because your spirit knows you are living under your calling. Have you been blaming the wrong things for the ache in your soul? Maybe the sixth time it came through a person, a message, a sentence, a video, a warning, or a conversation that hit you harder than it should have. Something in it felt too direct, too precise, too personal. You brushed it off, but you could not forget it. Why do certain words stay with you? Why do some messages follow you into the night? Why do some warnings keep echoing in your chest? Because not every word is just information. Some words are invitations. Some words are alarms. Some words are divine taps on the shoulder. God has always used vessels. He uses people, moments, interruptions, delays, and strange signs to get attention. So why do you only expect Him to speak in ways that feel familiar? And then came the seventh time, the final pass of the cycle, the moment where God says, you cannot keep calling this coincidence. The seventh time is not just another attempt. It is exposure. It is revelation. It is the point where the pattern becomes visible. It is the moment when God holds up the mirror and says, look carefully, you are not waiting on me as much as you think. In many ways, I have been waiting on you. That truth is heavy, isn't it? Because it is easier to say, nothing ever happens for me. It is easier to say, no one sees me. It is easier to say, my time will come someday. But what if your time kept approaching and finding you unavailable? What if the issue was not absence of opportunity, but absence of readiness? What if the problem was not that destiny forgot your address, but that you kept refusing to answer the door? God says you always skip Him. Notice that word, always. This is not about one isolated moment. This is about a habit, a repeated reflex, a pattern of avoidance. You skip the call because you fear what answering might require. You skip the opportunity because growth would disturb your comfort. You skip the instruction because obedience costs your excuses. You skip the process because patience offends your flesh. You skip the voice because you know it will challenge the version of you that wants to stay hidden. So tell me, what exactly are you protecting? Your peace or your limitations? Your wisdom or your fear? Your identity or your insecurity? Sometimes the thing people call being careful is actually just delayed obedience dressed in respectable language. And let us go even deeper. Why would God frame the message this way? Because he wants you to understand the seriousness of what you keep overlooking. If someone associated with influence, innovation, power, speed, reach, and future-shaping ideas had truly tried again and again to locate you, most people would call that urgent. Most people would call that a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Most people would stop everything to pay attention. Yet God says, when I send something carrying weight, you do not always recognize it because it does not come with the packaging you expected. You want destiny to look safe. You want calling to look easy. You want divine moments to arrive without pressure. But why would a large future fit inside a small, comfortable frame? There are people listening to this who have become unreachable not because they are unworthy, but because they are wounded. You skip what God sends because somewhere along the line, disappointment trained you to expect loss. Pain trained you to avoid hope. Betrayal trained you to distrust openings. Failure trained you to shrink. Shame trained you to hide. And now, every time something meaningful approaches, you sabotage it before it can ask anything of you. But God is saying, I am not exposing this to condemn you. I am exposing it to free you. What if healing is the first way you become reachable again? What if clarity begins when you stop letting yesterday answer today's calls? There are others who are unreachable because of pride, not loud pride, quiet pride, the kind that says, I'll do it on my own, I don't need help. I'll answer when I'm ready. I'll move when I feel like it. But what if your independence has become resistance? What if the reason you keep missing divine connections is because you want total control over the terms? God does not always negotiate with comfort. Sometimes he sends a call that demands immediate humility. Sometimes he places something in front of you that exposes your need to be teachable again. Have you confused control with strength? Have you mistaken self-protection for wisdom? And yes, there are some who are unreachable because they are drowning in distraction. Noise everywhere, stimulation everywhere, opinions everywhere, scrolling, consuming, reacting, comparing, escaping, postponing. You are so surrounded by motion that true signals do not stand out anymore. Your spirit has been trying to tell you that something matters, but your habits bury the alert before it fully forms. Can you hear God through a lifestyle that never becomes still? Can you recognize destiny when your attention is broken into 1,000 pieces? Can you notice the holy if you are constantly feeding on the immediate? God says this message is not merely about missing a famous name. It is about missing magnitude, missing timing, missing the value of what is near you, missing the seriousness of what is trying to find you. There are opportunities attached to your name. There are assignments attached to your obedience. There are people attached to your yes. There are breakthroughs attached to your response. There are generational shifts attached to the courage you keep postponing. Do you really think your delays only affect you? Do you really think your calling is private? Do you really think your obedience has no ripple effect? What if your answer is tied to more lives than you know? Maybe God is showing you that the future is not just coming, it has been searching for you. But the future cannot force agreement. Purpose can knock, but it will not kick the door down. Opportunity can circle, but it will not beg forever. Mercy can repeat itself, but even mercy has moments of decision. That is why this message feels like a warning. It is loving, but it is serious. It is hopeful, but it is urgent. It is deep, but it is direct. God is saying, enough missed signals. Enough delay, enough saying you are waiting when you are actually hiding. Become reachable now. What does it mean to become reachable? It means becoming spiritually available. It means making room for truth. It means listening when conviction comes instead of numbing it. It means praying when you feel the tug instead of postponing it. It means responding when wisdom knocks instead of telling yourself, maybe tomorrow. It means revisiting the ideas, instructions, burdens, and assignments you buried because they felt too big. It means accepting that what scares you may also be what is meant for you. It means allowing God to interrupt the version of you that has grown comfortable being almost ready, almost obedient, almost responsive, almost available. Ask yourself right now, what have I been skipping? What call have I ignored? What instruction did I postpone? What signal did I mock? What opportunity did I shrink before? What part of my future have I been labeling too much simply because it requires more faith than I currently use? What if the thing I keep avoiding is the very thing heaven keeps allowing to find me? What if the repetition is not annoyance, but mercy? What if this message is the seventh knock? God is saying, I have not changed my mind about you. That is the grace in this word, even after the missed moments, even after the delays, even after the fear, even after the excuses, even after the times you knew better and still hesitated. He is still speaking, he is still summoning, he is still warning, he is still reaching. And if you are hearing this, then the story is not over. The door is not fully shut. The invitation still stands, but the response cannot remain the same. So let this message do more than stir your emotions. Let it change your posture. Let it awaken your attention. Let it expose your patterns. Let it break your agreement with delay. Let it confront the part of you that always says later when destiny says now. Let it teach you that God can send significant things into your orbit, and if you do not have discernment, you will treat the sacred as casual, and that is what must end today. The final question is simple, but it carries all the weight. When the next divine signal comes, will fear answer for you again, or will you finally become reachable? Will you still skip what God sends, or will you recognize that something too important to ignore has been looking for you all along?